Once upon a time, in a land of green rolling hills and ancient castles, there was a child named Anne Boleyn. She was born into a family of ambition and influence, the daughter of Sir Thomas Boleyn and Lady Elizabeth Howard. From a young age, Anne was not a quiet, demure girl. She had a lively spirit, a quick wit, and a mind that sparkled with curiosity. Her eyes, dark and intelligent, missed nothing, and her heart, though young, already beat with a fierce sense of purpose. Anne's childhood was a tapestry of privilege and education. She was not just taught to sew and manage a household like many girls of her time. Instead, her father, a man with a sharp eye for opportunity, ensured she received an education fit for a queen. At a tender age, she was sent to the continent, a journey that would forever shape her. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel first. She served as a lady-in-waiting to Margaret of Austria, the regent of the Netherlands. Here she learned to speak French fluently, to read and write with elegance, and to appreciate the finer points of music and art. The court was a hotbed of intellectual and cultural exchange, and Anne absorbed it all like a sponge. Later, she moved to the French court, serving the Queen, Claude. This was a different world entirely. The French court was known for its flirtatiousness, its elaborate fashions, and its sophisticated games of love and power. Anne, with her natural charm and quick mind, navigated this world with ease. She learned the art of courtly love, the subtle language of glances and gestures, and the importance of holding one's own. It was here that she developed her unique sense of style, her love for the dramatic, and her ability to command attention. She wasn't considered a classic beauty, but her charisma, her dark, captivating eyes, and her graceful neck drew people to her. In her early 20s, Anne returned to England. She was no longer the little girl who had left. She was a poised, confident young woman, a true product of the continental courts. Her return was prompted by a potential marriage arranged by her father, a way to secure the family's position. But fate had other plans. At the English court of King Henry VIII, Anne was a breath of fresh air. She was different from the other ladies. She was witty, educated, and held her own in conversation. She could discuss politics, theology, and philosophy with the men, and she danced with an energy and grace that captivated all who watched. It wasn't long before King Henry VIII, a man known for his charm and his formidable presence, took notice of her. Henry was married to Catherine of Aragon, a devout and beloved queen, but their marriage had a problem. Catherine had failed to produce a male heir who survived infancy. Henry, desperate for a son to secure the Tudor dynasty, saw in Anne something he hadn't seen before. He was captivated not just by her physical presence, but by her sharp mind and her defiant spirit. The story of their courtship is a long and complex one. Anne, unlike many women of her time, did not immediately give in to the king's advances. She had learned in France the importance of protecting her honor and her reputation. She insisted that she would only be the king's wife, not his mistress. This refusal only fueled Henry's desire, turning a simple infatuation into a consuming passion. He showered her with gifts, wrote her love letters, and pursued her relentlessly. For years, Anne held her ground, a dangerous and audacious move that paid off. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. The king, blinded by his love and his need for a son, began to seek a way to annul his marriage to Catherine. This was not a simple task. The Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, refused to grant the annulment, believing it to be a valid and holy union. But Henry, a man not used to being denied, would not be deterred. With Anne by his side, whispering in his ear and encouraging his resolve, he took a monumental step. He broke with the Catholic Church, declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England, and appointed a new archbishop who would grant his annulment. The world watched in stunned silence as a king tore apart the religious fabric of his country for the sake of a woman and a male heir. In 1533, Anne Boleyn became Queen of England. The coronation was a spectacular affair, a lavish display of power and wealth, but it was met with mixed feelings from the English people. Many still loved and respected Catherine, and they saw Anne as a usurper, a schemer who had manipulated their king. But Anne, with her head held high, embraced her new role. She was a fashionable, intelligent, and influential queen. She surrounded herself with scholars and reformers, and she played a significant role in the developing religious landscape of England. The joy of her queenship, however, was short-lived. In September of that year, Anne gave birth not to a son, but to a daughter, a beautiful baby girl named Elizabeth. Henry, though he doted on his new daughter, was deeply disappointed. The pressure to produce a male heir became immense, and Anne's position, which had been built on this very promise, became precarious. She suffered miscarriages and stillbirths, and with each failure, Henry's affection began to wane. He began to grow tired of her strong-willed personality, her sharp tongue, and her constant demands. The enemies she had made on her climb to the throne began to close in. The Boleyn family had been powerful, but they had also been overbearing, and many at court resented their influence. Men who had been loyal to Henry's cause now saw an opportunity to bring Anne down. The king, who had once declared his undying love for her, was now looking for a way out of a marriage that had not delivered on its promise. In a horrifying turn of events, Anne was accused of high treason, adultery, and incest. The charges were absurd, a grotesque fabrication designed to destroy her. She was accused of sleeping with her own brother, George, and a number of other men at court. The evidence was flimsy, based on forced confessions and rumors, but in the political climate of the time, it was enough. Anne was arrested and taken to the Tower of London, the very place where she had spent the night before her coronation. The irony was devastating. The trial was a sham. Anne, though she defended herself with intelligence and grace, was found guilty. She was sentenced to death. The king, in a final act of twisted mercy, commuted her sentence from burning to beheading, and even sent for a skilled swordsman from France, believing it to be a more humane and quicker death. On a bright morning in May 1536, Anne Boleyn walked to the scaffold. She was composed, dressed in a simple dark gown, her famous neck exposed for the blade. Her final words were a testament to her strength and her faith. She spoke of her love for the king and prayed for him. She did not rail against the injustice, but instead faced her death with dignity. The swordsman did his work, and with one swift stroke, the life of Anne Boleyn was over. Her body was placed in an old arrow chest and buried in an unmarked grave, a quiet and ignominious end for a woman who had once stood at the center of the world. Her legacy, however, would live on, not just in the seismic shifts she had helped create in England, but in the daughter she had left behind, a daughter who would one day become one of the greatest monarchs England had ever known. Queen Elizabeth I, Anne Boleyn's life was a whirlwind of ambition, love, power, and tragedy, a story that continues to captivate and haunt all who hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Thank you for watching, and ring that bell to receive notification on new videos.